You're listening to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Each week, I'm going to be interviewing top realtors from coast to coast to give you a backstage pass on how they've created their amazing real estate empires and how you can copy them. Hi, everyone. This is Craig Proctor, and welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Today, my special guest is Dallas Seeley from Texas. Dallas, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on.
Good. Hey, man, you're a superstar. I want you to give everyone kind of your background story. Tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got started in this, and the massive success you've had.
Yeah. So Cliff Notes, graduated from college in 2008 and got into the fitness industry. Was the vice president, grew one of the largest outdoor fitness companies in the country from nothing to now number one. So when I started, there was basically 2 trainers and 40 clients, and we grew that to 15 different states, 30 major markets, over 1,000 trainers. So think a brokerage or a team of over 1,000 agents and several hundreds of thousands of clients every single month. Met my wife in 2013. We got engaged. She moved in, and she was an office secretary at the time, and I was making great money for fitness. And I basically said, "Hey, we're all in. We're combining our finances." And she had never done the math, and so I did the math, and she was making about $9 an hour as a secretary. And I said, "Yeah, that's not going to work. You can do anything you want. You can be a yoga instructor. You can sell Mary Kay. You can be the CEO of the household and be a great stay-at-home mom. Why don't you chew on it and sleep on it and pray on it and figure out what you're passionate about?" And so long story short, she loves to help people. She has a servant's heart. So she got her license at the beginning of 2015.
So your wife got a real estate license before you. Okay, I did not know that.
We leveraged my career and income to catapult her into the industry because it was a very big risk in her eyes. She's
right.
Very opposite of me. Look at that. That's cool. Look at
that. So she's in real estate for how long before you decided to get into real estate?
So we did the same thing 2 years later.
Okay.
So year 1, 2015, back then she actually kind of listened to me, let her coach her a little bit. She was runner-up for Rookie of the Year in Austin. And then year 2 in 2016, when she did even better, and now she's, I'm a highly competitive guy, so she's approaching to possibly out breadwinner me for the income of the household. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. So we couple of years later, we then used her income for me. I was making $500,000 a year in fitness, which is, in that industry, is unheard of, right?
Right.
Top 0.1% of the country. So it was a little nerve-wracking to completely walk away from that, which I did at the.
That is hard, and most people would not do that. Most people making $500,000 a year would be like, well, that's too big a risk. So why did you do it? Why did you're making $500,000 a year? Why risk that to go into something you've never done before?
Well, we were a little strategic about it. I mean, it was kind of unplanned in the beginning. I just wanted her to be more fulfilled, and if there was an income producing opportunity, to actually align with her worth, because she wasn't worth $9 an hour, right? But again, she actually let me coach her back then, and she did so well that within 2 years, she's now making $400,000 to $500,000 a year as a solo agent. And so, yes, for most people, and even in that time period, it was very nerve-wracking, but we had built her business to the same level. So, just like 2 years if she fell flat on her face, like, hope for the best, plan for the worst, she would absolutely fail and get. Well, we still have my income, right? And even though I was 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when she was getting up to $400,000 or $500,000, at least you had someone was making solid income. Okay, so now let me ask you this: Had your wife not got into real estate, like, do you think you ever would? Did you have an interest for it, or because your wife got into it, you kind of got interested in real estate?
The latter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, you could say it was by luck, but no, it was a strategic conversation with her for
Mm,
several months. Like, hey,
yeah.
what fulfills you? What are you serving others? Okay, well, let's pick something that if you're great at it, the income opportunity aligns with your value. And so, yeah.
Okay, so your wife's in real estate for a couple of years. You take the leap, very successful in the fitness industry, making $500,000 a year. So when you started out in real estate, were you like working with your wife or independently?
It was just Amy and myself, so just the two of
Okay,
us. I retired from fitness at the end of 2017. I started in real estate in 2018. Helped. So this is painful to say out loud, right? Because it's great, but it's also painful now knowing what I know from being in the Craig Proctor system. So my first 12 months, I helped 38 families, and this was back before COVID, right? So my average price point was like in the 300s, and sold over 16 million. And that was at the industry norms commission, right?
right.
And won rookie of the year. There it is again. That's pretty cool. And one rookie of the year for Central Texas. And it's like, and everything happens for a reason, but sometimes I do the math. Okay, I'm making now double on every sale than what I did back then. You just, I would have, if I would have known these initiatives and executed and implemented, like how much it's painful to think how much money in those early years we left on the table.
Oh, and just to clarify for everybody watching, what Dallas is referring to is he's probably he gets paid the highest fee of anyone in his marketplace, and he's saying, knowing what I know now, if I knew that at the beginning of my career, and if I applied, how to negotiate a higher fee, how much more money would I have made? But hey, better late than never, right?
Yeah, I think just
Yeah,
for clarity, which I
yeah.
know Craig's going to ask a lot of questions. Now working with you in the system and with Todd's confirmed we're the highest income earners pound for pound in the country. So on listings, the lowest we will take a listing is at 7% commission. That's with no co-broke. So that's what we take. We have different options. So we've taken listings at 8, 9, even 12 or 15% commission. Um, we're now doing 0.7% admin fees and $1,000 transaction fee. And then on buyer sides, we're doing 4 to 5% to us with that 0.7% transaction fee and $1,000 admin fee.
And you and I know some agents watch some realtors watching this right now will say, well, that might happen in Austin, Texas, but my marketplace is different. Hey, folks, don't let yourself off the hook. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. We're talking about everybody learning how to articulate their value and really gain confidence. I mean, this is um, you've heard me say, Dallas, the first sale every salesperson must make is to themselves. So this was a paradigm shift, right? But when you get on the other side of that paradigm shift, you realize that negotiating a higher fee, doing the right things is no issue at all. And like you said, you're looking back and saying, "Gee, I wish I had known that or had that belief system back in the beginning."
Well, I want to be super transparent. Like that's where we're at today, but it's been a lot of work
Mm,
to get the company to get everyone on board to this point.
right,
So I remember when, and a similar example happened in my fitness chapter. We first started off, right? And they were just doing month-to-month charges because they were tiny, and that's what they always done. And when you think of like the behemoths in the fitness world, you can sign year-long contracts, 2-year like I've gone to Costco and seen the ability to sign a 5-year contract at a
right.
gym, right? For a massive discount. But they were so small and their paradigm was thinking so small that when I came on board, it took me about a year to get the owners to be okay to roll out a 6-month contract and discounted pricing for that. And then 2 years later, after me working on them, we rolled out a year-long contract. And for about 5 years, I was adamant about rolling out a 2-year contract because that's what all the national competitors do. And then the year I retired, they finally did it, and their revenue shot through the roof, right? So
So
it's a
you took a lot of learning from your past career into real estate, which taught you some things. And um, when you started, okay, how did you find the Craig Proctor system? So now let's fast forward to now you're in real estate, you're working with your wife, you're trying to figure this out. Like, how did you even know what to do in the beginning? I guess your wife had been at it for a couple of years. And why did you decide to seek us out? How did you find us?
So 2018, it was just Amy and myself. We started to grow the team, grew it up the highest point to 42 agents underneath me. And it was 2.5 years ago, one of my top agents said, "Hey, I got this email, and there's a guy named James McDonald coming into town, and he's doing this seminar. I've never heard of him. I've never heard of the system, but I looked into it. It looks enticing, and he was one of my top guys. So I'm like, okay, well, tell me more. Tell me why you think the value is going to be worth the time." And he sold me on it enough that I took the entire team. So at that chapter, there was, I think, 18 or 20 of us. I took the entire team, right? We're in a hotel ballroom. We get there 15 minutes early, because if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late, right? And it's just us. And I'm like, oh God, what did I get myself into? And then I guess James knows realtors because he didn't start till about 20 minutes after. Because once the start time hit, then like another 20 to 30 agents like trickled in late, and I'm like, this is almost disrespectful to James's time. But I had these paradigms of like, oh God, what did I get myself into? And then he does his thing for the next couple hours, and I was so impressed, and I heard enough nuggets that afterwards I went up to him and I asked him some questions, and he asked me some questions, and I guess he quickly realized that he wasn't talking to the average agent, or it wasn't my first rodeo. And he highly encouraged me to go to an Orlando super conference that was happening 2 months down the line. So we had a couple phone calls. Um, uh, he talked me into going. It just so happened that my wife wanted to take the kids to Disney for the first time that year.
Well, that worked out.
So it was a two birds, one
Yep.
stone. I sent them to Disney. They got to wait in hour-long lines, and I went to the conference.
I always say realtors probably like they just don't really get what the Craig Proctor system's about until they come to the conference. So, and it used to be, Dallas, that we wouldn't even take anyone into coaching unless or like before they would attend a conference because they had, a much better foundation of what the system is all about. So, what was that experience for you? You've been to the half day, now you fly to Orlando, you come to the conference.
So I go to the conference, and it's really initially, I'm still kind of pessimistic because, this as agents, we get about 7 to 29 marketing calls and texts a day, people trying to sell us junk, right? And I still don't really know what I've got myself into. It just lined up with the Disney vacation. So we're in this massive ballroom, like picture the scene, massive, there's like 500 people in it, and I'm in the furthest back table. Like the people who are fully engaged and into it. There's 500
So
people.
you're almost like a reluctant attendee.
Correct.
Like,
That's
well,
exactly right.
we're
I
going to
was
Orlando and this conference happens to be there, so I'll go and I'll sit in the back room and check it out.
I was very reluctant. I
Yeah,
was in the furthest row from the stage,
yeah.
and I had my laptop up, and I was working, and I was texting clients and taking phone calls and doing deals, and not really engaged. And the defining moment, very defining moment, right? So imagine I'm in the back, and I've got my laptop open, and I'm like, I'm 500 feet from the stage, and you get Tracy King up there. I had no idea who he was at the time, and I'm working, but I'm half listening. And he says something, and I'm typing. He says something lines of, in his awesome Tennessee accent. Yeah, last year we did 567 deals, and our average commission of all 567 was 4.17%. And on top of that, we got a 0.5% admin fee and a 595 transaction fee. And I popped up, and you go, Tracy, can you repeat that again for the crowd? And he says, yeah, we did 567 deals last year. Our average commission across all deals was 4.13%, not 3, not 2.5, 4.13. And on top of that, we got an admin, and I had never heard of an admin. And so he said a second time, and I shut my laptop and I turned my phone off, and I got my notebook out, and I sat up, and now I was all ears.
So at that moment, you were convinced you were now in the right place.
The hook was in. The hook
Yeah.
was in the fish. You caught my attention.
You know, you've met such great people inside the Craig Proctor world. Talk about, you know, some of the relationships. It's, you know, it's not just what you learned from Todd and myself, but you know, the Craig Proctor family, the friendships, the leadership from the other members is really so valuable to everybody in this group.
I think what I've enjoyed most, especially about the in-person events, is, you know, what's the old saying? The top 5 people you spend the most time around is ultimately who you become, right? And getting to spend time and have conversations with, you know, one-on-ones with Tracy, right? And his wife at dinner in Cancun at your birthday
So
party.
Tracy's someone you gravitated to right away. You're like, I want to get to know this guy.
Yeah, I mean, at your birthday party, you know, we sat next to Tracy on one side, and Nathan Clark and his executive team were on the other side of the table, and we had, you know, 4 hours of conversation. And the last conference in Anaheim, I had a ton of one-on-ones with Rudy and his executive team. And you know, back to that Orlando story. After the conference, I immediately signed up and went into Titanium, and Bill Watson was our coach from the beginning, and we still work with him. And I mean, it's the biggest hitters in the country, right? And it's the biggest hitters in the country that embody a core value of, we're going to not only think bigger, but we're going to think differently from the industry as a whole. Like, if they do this, we're going to do this, because this way is going to get us there faster, more effectively.
Yep, we're always pushing against industry norms. You know, when everyone's going left, we're going right. And the key is being years ahead of what everyone else, more than what they're doing, but years ahead of what everyone else is even thinking about. Tell us about your goal for this year. What's the transactions? What's the business going to look like here in 2024?
We are on track, probably do about 400 transactions. We just implemented some new initiatives. So, you know, it's been a journey of implementing the Craig Proctor initiatives, and how much pushback we've gotten every step of the way. So we just upped our transaction fees from 0.5% to 0.7%, right? Because there was a lot of discussion, but I think at the end of the day, keep it simple. A consumer, when they see it on the rep docs, they don't see that big of a difference. And then, you know, inflation's at an all-time high. Just the cost of doing business has gone up. So we're now at 0.7% transaction fee, and we're at a $1,000 admin fee. So, you know, the ability to add hundreds of thousands of dollars of top line revenue to the business, it opens up a lot of doors, from marketing to investment back into the company and to setting appointments for the agents. It's great.
And are you looking to recruit more agents at this point?
So great question. Last year at this time, we were at 42 agents, and believe it or not, I've trimmed the fat down to my top 10, and we're already at 60% this year of what we did last year.
And so why do you think that is? Why do you think you were able to cut down the agent count but still do better?
I think simple 80-20 rule.
Yeah. So now the business is really just going to the high performers, which means your conversion's much higher.
Right.
Right. Okay. These rule changes that are happening across the industry are going to take effect in August. And you and I were talking before we got started about the fact that I think the stats were 49% of the agents in the United States last year in 2023 sold either one transaction or zero. So half the agents sold one house or zero houses. And that is in a world where agents could say to a buyer, I do this and this and this and this for you, and my services are free. It doesn't cost you anything to use my services, which of course is going to be disallowed in August. You won't be able to say that. And I understand that at an open house, that's fine. You can meet buyers at an open house, but if they don't like the open house, which is most of the time, and you want to go show them properties, or they call you off a sign call or an ad call, real estate agents are now going to be mandated that they have to meet with the buyer first, get a buyer agency agreement signed, and negotiate the fee. Now, everything I just said is really scary for most agents, but it's something you've already been doing for years.
I mean, the system has set us up for massive success for this industry change. And I think, just to keep it simple, to explain my paradigm, everybody knows that anytime there's an economic shift, anytime the stock market's down, like the best of the best, you know, the best in the financial and the wealth, the wealth sector, they come out, and that's when, like, blood in the waters, the sharks come out, and they massively get wealthy and gain market share, right?
Yep, absolutely. Every time we were in a recession, I gained a big market share. In fact, the first year I was #1 in the world for Remax was in 1991, and it was a big recession back then, and home prices dropped about 30% nationally. So, and a big part of my business was expired listings. Like, nobody could sell their home, and I started selling them, and I got a reputation for selling houses that people weren't able to sell. And so I do believe that there's a massive opportunity for the top agents to increase market share, as probably a third of the agents decide maybe this is not the business for them, and they leave and they go do something
I
else.
think it's going to be bigger than a third. And you just said it. I've talked to, over the years, at least a dozen heavy hitters that have been in the industry for decades. And one of the questions I asked them, hey, what advice would you have gone back and done differently? And unanimously, they always said, I would have gone bigger in the downfalls and the recessions. And their eyes start to sparkle, because they're like, it was like a baby Jesus gift from up above. It was the greatest time. I grew so much. It was my hockey stick years. I
Yeah.
just, like, as all the garbage competitors are getting weeded out of the industry, I'm gaining ground and going up like a rocket ship, right? And so you think about what we have going on. We are in a recession. We've got interest rates the highest in 20 plus years, right? Things are stagnant, and subjectively, we may have the biggest shift we've ever seen in the real estate industry.
Hmm.
And the shift is going to massively affect all our competitors, because what you just said, they don't know how to demonstrate real value and explain it. And not only explain it, but where the consumer, when they meet with them belly to belly, is like, oh my God, this guy's a rock star, right? Like, I'm willing to pay more because I'm going to get more value at the end of the day.
It's amazing to me, Dallas, how many realtors don't even accept the fact that this is going to happen. Okay, so they go through all these, I don't know, whatever it is, the 7 stages of grief, right? At first, they're in denial and they're angry and they're depressed. And there's a lot of agents in denial, like, oh, this is not going to happen, or they'll figure it out. But this is coming, and we're months away from a massive industry change. Doesn't look like interest rates are going to go down this year, if at all, maybe like one cut, maybe in December. Yeah, we're looking forward to a huge opportunity as these agents leave and the real pros pick up market share. Tell us about some of the unique marketing that you do. those watching would want to know, like, well, how do you do 400 or 500 transactions? It's, not by cold calling or door knocking or sitting in open houses, or all the traditional stuff that we're taught, which is, I'm sure, what you were told to do in the beginning as well. Tell us about some of the awesome things that you do to attract buyers and sellers, because you're not calling them. 100% of them are contacting you. They're chasing you.
Yeah. So I think the simple answer for those watching, you can go to our website, which is sealyproperties.com. And I sort of modeled Coach Bill Watson's website. Under the sell drop downs and the buy drop downs, we have a dozen plus different value propositions. And so we're using our marketing team, Google SEO, ads to get those value props, those USPs of what the consumer really wants. And we're the only professional in the marketplace who offers these, right? So whether it's your home sold guarantee, multiple cash offers in 24 hours, professional complimentary staging, if you're a buyer, we guarantee to save you at least $10,000 on the purchase of your home, or we'll give you the difference. Whatever the real value proposition that you guys can see on the website, it's no one else in the marketplace has it.
And the marketing that you do is unique. It sets you apart from everyone else, and you're getting calls into the office every single day that are either I want to meet with you, or some of them are just come and list my house, like I'm ready. So a big part of your marketing is done before you meet them. They've actually already decided.
My favorite line and what we're trying to track at this moment, from our marketing and our website and our reputation, the value propositions and all that stuff is, we'll meet with them belly to belly. And this is starting to happen more and more. And we'll go through our presentation, we only show the clients, all these things. And they stop us at the beginning or in the middle, and they say, hey, you already hired before you got here. Like, just tell me where I need to sign.
That's great. Isn't it? I used to get that all the time. I'd be like a third of the way through the presentation, like, no, we've heard enough. We're convinced. They were either pre-sold ahead of time, or I would get a part way into my listing presentation and they would say, you're so passionate about what you do. Like, yeah, we're convinced. So yeah, you're pretty much pre-sold when you get there. And it got to the point where when I showed up for the appointments, the sellers would say, oh, we didn't actually know it was going to be you. We thought it'd be, one of your selling partners, which, we marketed well, and they would have accepted one of our selling partners. I had a pretty lean team as well. You've got like 10 right now. I think I had 8 to 10 outside sales agents. I had 3 inside sales agents, and yeah, we were taking down 400 to 500 transactions a year. But I had high standards, as I imagine you do, for my outside sales agents had to average a transaction a week. So that they had to be doing 50 transactions a year. Or it just like wasn't really worth my time with training them. And the ones that weren't doing well would leave anyway. But the interesting thing was nobody that was on my team that left ever netted more money in their pocket outside the team, going out on their own. So, and that's how we were able to keep the top agents, because they were all netting, in their pocket, $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year with no expenses. Right? I'm taking care of all the marketing. I'm like the quarterback, and they're like the receiver, and I'm just throwing the balls, right? And they're just running the ball over the over the line.
You're only the one that is training them to know how to do it at a high class level, but literally you're doing everything just to hand them an appointment. Like, it's great. Like, you just, here's the ball, like, go run that way. That's it.
Well, not only are you giving your agents the ball, I mean, you're doing all the marketing, you're paying for it, you're the expert at that, but you're doing the mentoring and the coaching. So when they come to you, they're just being plugged into a system that is a cash cow, right? It's you're throwing them the ball, and you're training them on how to do this like you. And your training is like forever, right? You're spending an enormous amount of time with your team members, because obviously the more money they make, the more money you make. But every company, of course, promises agents, oh, we've got training. The problem is sometimes that training doesn't exist. most times, if the training does exist, the training's being done by somebody that's never been successful. So it's a huge, benefit for everyone on your team to be able to shadow you and meet with you and talk to you every single day. So that leadership thing is, that your rainmaker activities are training, marketing, working on the business. What does your daily routine look like?
I'm a part of a couple entrepreneur groups, and one of the high level learning lessons is think of an athlete, right? Like a professional football player or basketball player or hockey player. 7 days a week or Monday through Friday, it isn't game day for them, right? And so they structure their week where they have game days, the income producing days. They have practice days where they're preparing for the game, and then they have rest days. So they're specifically and purposely, getting body work done, sauna, massage, whatever. They're resting, right? And I think as entrepreneurs and professionals, especially in the American society, it's like subconsciously ingrained. Hey, if you want to be successful, you got to outwork everyone, and you got to, like, 7 days a week is game day. And I did that for many, many, many years, and I'm starting to shift the mentality of, like, hey, appointments are on these days. These are my game days, right? These days are practice days or preparation days, and these days are off days. These are strategic rest and recovery, and we're starting to see the fruits of that.
So creating a perfect week and time blocking. And
Right.
I did the same thing. Like all my listing appointments, I wanted them all together if I could, right? So I go from a 9 a.m. to a 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then I would have every Monday at 10 a.m. would be our team meetings. And when I was still making calls to leads, I would do that on, Monday and Tuesday night between 7 and 9. But everything was in there, like date night with my wife, Friday night, taking my son to hockey Saturday morning. So you've got to, create this perfect week that has your personal things in there, and then work around that with, okay, what's the next most important thing? So, the rainmaker activities were listing homes, calling the leads. Back in the day, I was the one calling the leads. And I actually made more money calling the leads and setting up the listing appointments than going out on the listing appointment. So I just eventually stopped going on listing appointments, because in a couple hours on the phone, I could set up 4 or 5 listing appointments. Well, in a couple of hours, I can't list 4 or 5 homes. Even though I was splitting that commission, it was still more profitable. So then we had so many leads coming in, I couldn't keep up with all the leads. So we hired other inside sales agents. And that's where I created the universal callback script, because up until then, that script existed, but it was only in my head. And when I started hiring other agents to handle the overflow of leads, other inside sales agents, like, okay, I better get what's in my head down on paper, so they can start to use it. And that's when I realized, hey, you know what, I can actually train people how to do what's in my head, and that worked. And that's really where our team exploded, because now that we had a follow-up system for these leads, we could really, we could really blow up the marketing and advertising. And, something you probably heard me say at the very first conference is, how many homes could you sell if it had nothing to do with you? And so that was always my attitude, right? How many prospects could we call if it had nothing to do with me? How many homes could we list if it had nothing to do with me? How many buyers could we work with if it had nothing to do with me? And so I became this mad scientist trying to figure out, okay, we're going to need systems. If we're going to replace me, right now it's in my head. How do we get this down, first of all, on a piece of paper? How do we get this into our CRM? And that's how I got into coaching other agents, because the first people I coached were the agents on my team. And I'm like, you know what? I think I actually could be pretty good at showing other people how to do what I'm doing. And, that's how the whole thing started. And I always enjoyed that. I enjoyed I enjoyed the leadership part and mentoring people, because, Dallas, not only are you helping thousands and thousands of home buyers and sellers in Austin, Texas. Think of all the people around you that orbit around you that benefit from what you do, from everyone on your team that works at your company, their spouses, all your vendors, your affiliates, and all the referrals that you get and people that you meet. So it's a pretty cool business, and you got into it because your wife got into it after you, and ironically, you encouraged your wife and then you got into it. I got into real estate because my father was a real estate agent. And the crazy thing, I didn't really have any interest in real estate. It's just like I dropped out of college, dropped out of university. It's like, okay, well, maybe I'll go do real estate. And my dad's like, yeah, don't do real estate. You're not the type of person that sticks with anything. You're probably going to fail, he said, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try it anyway. And I liked it. So, it's a cool business because we get to make a lot of money. We get to sell people things they want to buy. We're not selling like funeral plots or life insurance. We're actually selling real estate, which people like, and they can become wealthy. So it's a very cool industry and a very positive industry to be in. And I love the fact that I get to meet people like you, and we get to know each other, and we have this great network of positive, forward-thinking people that do wonderful things. And that's why I love our meetings. It's like the energy. I mean, I've been to every type of real estate conference, but people say this to us all the time. There's nothing like the Craig Proctor events. The people that are there, the chemistry.
I feel like
There's
we're
nothing else like
overdue.
it.
We're
Yeah,
due for one soon.
yeah, we are. Well, we just did one in Toronto a couple months ago. But yes, we are scheduled for, we got a bunch lined up here that we're going to do. And I know you're going to be at them, and looking forward to sharing all the new stuff. There'll be so many things that we'll be bringing to the market here between now and August that are opportunities for Craig Proctor members with all these massive changes in the real estate industry. So yeah, like you, I'm really, really excited about the opportunity. Everyone else is thinking this is going to be terrible. And we're looking at this saying this is the best opportunity we've probably ever had in the real estate industry.
Yep.
So we have a free report we want to offer everyone. Faith, if you want to just screen share this, for those of you that want to build your real estate business, like I did and like Dallas did, we're going to offer you a free report. Right now, we're going to show it on the screen. It's called the 9-step system for designing your real estate business. And we're just giving this to you. Okay. Not selling you anything. We just like today's presentation was absolutely free to you. If you can just scroll through that, Faith, show everybody what we've got. We lay out how to do this. Okay. The same system, the same things that I share with my members, I shared with Dallas. If you want to get a hold of this report on how to grow a real estate business instead of having a job as a real estate agent, just drop your email into the comments below. Okay. And we'll send this out. Okay. So just drop your email into the comments below, and Faith in my office will email this out. No cost, no obligation. We're here to help you. And the easiest way for me to convince you that I can help you is just to actually help you and pay it forward like we're doing today. Dallas, your dollar worth per hour is a lot. So he has taken time out of his very successful and busy career to be with us today and share his experience and his massive success in Austin, Texas. Before we wrap it up, Dallas, what advice or final thoughts would you like to give to those watching this?
We know big things in our world, especially personal, that greatness doesn't happen overnight, right? Like if you want a great marriage, it doesn't happen in year one or year, like I know you've been married to your wife for many, many, many years, and there's been a lot of growth and time and work put into to make it at the level it currently is today. Same with raising children, right? It's a lifetime commitment, and I think in our industry or any entrepreneurship industry, but especially real estate, like if you're gonna do this, and you really want to do big things and great things, like you got to draw a line in the sand and you got to go all in, and you got to understand that it's going to take work for a long, long time. It's money doesn't fall from the sky. Like you've got to go out there and you've got to be fully committed and all in on the initiatives and the vision that you have.
Yeah, unfortunately, most people don't reach their full potential. And we see that in real estate. People get in, they think it's easy. They watch, I don't know, $1 million listing or whatever, and they think this is about networking and having a great time and opening doors, and that it's going to be really easy. And it's not easy, but it is a great career if you will commit to it. And your examples are great. You want a great marriage, it's going to take work. You want to be a great parent, it's going to take work. If you want a great career, real estate can be it. Okay. But my recommendation is find a mentor. Okay. Whether it's me or somebody else. And the mentor that you choose is really, really important. There are lots of fake coaches and people on social media that claim to be experts. There's lots of pretenders in this business. But if I wanted to learn how to play golf, I'd want to make sure that my mentor, my coach, was an excellent golf player, that they have the track record. Today, I find a lot of real estate agents are impressed by flash or pretendedness, I guess, rather than actually doing the research to determine, should I listen to this person? Does this person have a solid track record for actually doing the thing that they're teaching me? I think we'd all agree it's very difficult for somebody that hasn't made millions of dollars to teach you in real estate how to make millions of dollars. They've never done that themselves. So we bring this here. When you're in our network, you are rubbing shoulders with agents that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars every year. So the conversations are different. The thinking is different. You'll start to think thoughts that you were not thinking before. You'll start to talk to people that you haven't been talking to before, and you'll start to do things that you right now maybe don't even know are possible. So I want to thank everybody for watching this today. Please do leave us your comments, what you liked or you didn't like. Go ahead and Google Dallas Seeley. Check him out. Mystery shop the guy. Okay. This is a superstar. Okay. You've heard his story here today. You've had an opportunity to meet him. Yeah, reach out. Let us know any questions you have. Now, if you folks want to book a call with us, we have something called a breakthrough call that would cost you $0. And we'll have Faith drop in the comments below the link. It's proctorcall.com. If you go to proctorcall.com, you'll go to my Acuity Day Timer, book yourself a time. It won't be me you're talking to. You'll be talking to one of my people. It's not a sales pitch. We'll answer all your questions about the Craig Proctor system. We'll basically say, how many homes are you selling now? Great. How many homes would you like to sell? Okay, so maybe you say I'm doing 20 and I want to do 50. Our next question would be, well, why are you already not doing 50? And you're going to proceed and tell us why you're not reaching your goal. And we'll give you some free advice on what you should do. And whether you want to hire us to help you or do it on your own or find somebody else, that's up to you. But you should take full advantage of this. It is a free breakthrough call. We'll spend a half an hour with you, asking you questions, really caring about your business, and giving you some great advice. proctorcall.com. So, Dallas, thank you so much for being with us here today. Really appreciate it. We'll get you back here again too, because I want to know how you're doing here later in the year after these real estate industry changes kick in. But thank you so much for doing this today. I appreciate this. And for everyone else, thank you so much for watching the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. Take care. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are two important things, and both are totally free. Number one is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're going to see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, It's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's going to let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.